And welcome to the Advance Your Career Anywhere series. The topic today is discovering your career path. My name is Suzanne Donovan, and I'm an assistant director here of career development at Villanova. For the purposes of today's webinar, there are two ways that you can communicate with the Career Center team. If you're having any technical trouble, please feel free to use the chat functionality in the webinar found along the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to submit questions for the Q&A portion, please use the Q&A option also at the bottom of your screen. Questions may be answered via the Q&A module or answered during the live session during the live section at the end of our session, which will be about 10 minutes dedicated to that. So let's dig in. Many of you are joining us today because you're considering what major to choose. Some are hoping to identify what career or industry sector interests you. Maybe you are hoping to reassess where you are right now and discover other paths that might be available. Still, others are simply curious about this process. If any of these scenarios match your goal for the webinar, you are in the right place, and I welcome you. So the session will go over an assessment which we use called the Focus2. We're going to walk through the platform, and we're going to do key takeaways and questions and answers. So let's demonstrate, or let's go over a little bit about what the Focus2 is. The Focus2 is a self-paced, reliable, intuitive career guidance assessment. It combines major and career exploration and then helps with decision-making and action planning, all in one comprehensive product. The Focus2 is divided into 5 assessments. It has a work interest assessment that generates a Holland code, or what we call a career interest indicator. It also has assessments for personality, leisure, values, and skills. Results of the 5 categories are then matched to career options of over 1,000 occupations. These are directly linked to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and a site called ONET, which I'm going to show you. At Villanova, I often use the Focus2 to explore what majors a student might want to choose, what industry trends are happening today, and for alums to reassess career paths. The Focus2 was founded by Dr. Miner in 1987. Today, over 6 million students and adults use the tool to help plan for and achieve career success. The assessment is recommended by the U.S. Department of Labor. So the key features are the self-assessment, the best fit for occupations, the academic career exploration, and career readiness competencies. My favorite is the best fit. For students to access the Focus2, you're going to go through Handshake, the Career Center tab, and then click Resources. For alum, you can access the Focus2 via the Nova Network online platform. Go to Resources and then Virtual Career Resource section. The address of the Nova Network is novanetwork.villanova.edu. Note, for both students and alum, the password is Wildcat. I repeat that because so many students will email me and say, "What's the password?" It's Wildcat. Should be easy to remember for all you Villanova fans. So let's take a walk through the platform. So hopefully you are now looking at the platform, the landing page of the Focus2. This is the assessment and I will go through different parts of it. The instructions are up here, but I have a few suggestions. Find a quiet place and allow at least 30 minutes to take this test. Answer according to your gut and don't overthink any of your responses. Complete all 5 assessments, and I'll show you where they are. There's a work interest, personality, leisure, values, and skills. This is a completed assessment, or I'd go through and show you each of the individual questions, but I thought it best to show you a completed one. This is a student who was seeking career advice, interested in biology, perhaps chemistry. So we'll take a look at what her test indicated. Let's jump into the results for the work interest assessment. Sorry, it's making me re-log in. It was probably a little bit of time. Here we go. So her work interest results were right here. My favorite thing is this Holland code, which is given to each of the occupations. And it's also given to everyone who takes the assessment. The student was given social, investigative, and artistic. And you can see on the graph, there are 3 others that didn't get to meet the same code, which is enterprising, realistic, and conventional. Those are also part of every Holland code, but her strengths were in the first 3. Let's take a look at some careers that they suggest for this. Here, I want to mention that you can select what level of education you're considering. I'm going to just look at bachelor and advanced degrees for now. Occupations suggested were biology professor that she was super interested in. It gives us the supporting majors here at Villanova. It gives us the mean U.S. salary and the job family. I particularly like paying attention to this job family because if you're not 100% sure of the occupation, yet so many of the occupations suggested are falling into one particular job family, you're probably getting close to the bullseye of what you should be considering. Here, she had liked, through her thumbs up, her biology professor. I'll note that the sun sitting next to that is showing that it has a bright future based on the growth of the career. So let's take a look at this particular occupation. Here, for every occupation, you will get a page that looks similar to this. It has an overview, the job task, etc. But this is my favorite. This compares the student's Holland code and the Holland code associated with biology professor occupation. She's a pretty good match, wouldn't you say? A little light here, but certainly she was only a sophomore, and investigative involves the sciences, so I think she has some room to grow. The other thing is she does exceed here in the enterprising. That's okay, it's not terribly, and it's not in the first 3 of her strengths. The key that you want to look for, though, and I'll show you later, is when one of these is really out of whack and it's your first 3 letters of your code. The next part of this is it will show you the skills required, the values that are important, and the work conditions. Here's where you can click the majors that it suggests. And that's just for the sake of this, say, I'm also interested in education. I'm going to click that major. I'm going to save it, and it's going to go right to my list of majors that I'll show you later. Here's where it has the outlook. It's expected for this career to grow 14% in the next 10 years. That's much faster than most of the other occupations, so a sun is what it deserved. Okay, so now we've seen her work interests, but I say, why not combine all of the assessments, or at least 4 of them, to see the whole person, because that's what you'll be bringing to the job. So let's do this, and you combine the assessments through this tab. I'm going to pick work interest, skills, personality, values. I'm going to leave leisure out, because how many of us love to cook, yet you really don't care about being a chef? So from that standpoint, I'm going to combine these 4 assessments. Let's see what we get. Again, I'm going to just look for bachelor degree or advanced. This student was super lucky. She had 14 occupations that matched the top 4 assessments. There's the biology professor that we saw when we looked at just the single work assessment, but there are many others. And again, look at the job family. She will do herself well by choosing. This is supporting that she's in the right area. Specifically, she might not know for sure what occupation matches the best, but we're going to show you why that might get a little closer by using the Focus2. So I'm going to check out counseling psychologist for her. And again, remember, this is now combining all of her assessments. My goodness, this is such a great match. There are just a few things that she's stronger in, but the first 3 parts of her code, the SIA, social, investigative, and artistic, are almost right on. Let's jump down a little faster here, and she could continue, by the way, to save any additional majors that are suggested. We're going to save elementary teaching like I did before, just to give you an idea of how to do that. But I want to go to the earnings section. This is where you can bounce out of this into what we call the ONET, which is supported by the U.S. Labor Department. So I'm going to see in Georgia how much a career counselor might make. It's taking me right to the ONET stop. The reason I love this is because not only can you use the Focus2, but now the ONET is another fabulous resource for you. There's one other one I would suggest, and that is just by Googling OOH. Both are supported by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This gives you the salary information across the country. It also helps with doing additional assessments, learning about careers, planning your careers, and resources that are super neat. If you're a career changer, if you're a military or veteran person, entry level, etc., these have specific categories just for you. So let's jump back to our Focus2. And so what I want to show is what can you do with the major here at Villanova. I love this tab. So let's say you're considering some of the majors available. Chemistry, for instance, was another option for her. For chemistry, it will list all of the various occupations that this academic study pathway will support. So there's plenty to think of. Let's say that she was interested, which she is, in a cardiologist. And being a cardiologist, again, the same information. This will show us, does she match? Now, she's not a bad match, but I will tell you this is something of concern. She has a big gap between her social, which is her first code, and that is one of her strongest strengths. So it'd be a shame, would she be frustrated not being able to use a lot of her social skills as a cardiologist? In this case, she still has a little bit of a gap in the investigative, but I have a feeling she could pick that up. There are other things that she's lacking in the realistic area. So when you start to dig down, there are ways to improve this, and you'll never be 100%, but it is of concern to think, hey, am I using my skills and my abilities to the best, and do they match the occupations? So with that, we've already gone through what you can major in. This tab is for those majors that aren't here at Villanova. So some of you alum might have majored in architecture or social work or something else that we don't have as a major, but that's the same setup there. Maybe you don't know a major, but you're interested in, hey, I wonder what it's like to be a certain thing. I know a lot of our audience was interested in finance, so let's just pick financial analyst, for instance. Again, the same overview. This student would be terrible for finance. Her social is so off the map, and the requirement for financial analysis, the social is very low. She also lacks a lot of the conventional skills that would be required. Most of our accountants are really high in the conventional and enterprising area. So I wouldn't recommend this at all for this student, but it will give you some great information. And I want to show you all the way down here where it does have some professional associations that you can dig further into for most of the occupations that's available. So that's kind of fun. I love to do that. I also love, as I mentioned, is this job family. You can take a look and see which ones are of interest to you. So maybe you're interested in tech, but you're so not sure about what the actual or let's do healthcare tech. Okay, but you're not sure of the actual occupations that are available in healthcare and technical. You can dig through each of these and make some comparisons, gain more information and knowledge, so your decision will be closer to that bullseye of what will work for you. This is the last thing on this category that I want to show you. So the student did choose biology professor, so we're going to click that. We're going to compare two occupations side by side. The second was her cardiologist as a top choice. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here we get a side-by-side view. We get to compare all the duties, the skills. I recommend highlighting the skill sets that you feel the most comfortable in and where do they fall in this ranking. The values needed for each of these jobs, very critical because we all want to match our personal values to our long-term career. Also, the outlook available is very important. You want to be in a growing industry, and so keep an eye on that. Earnings, etc. And then here your Holland codes right next to each other. You can see where there might be some lacking. And then, of course, any associations that would work for you. So let's go back up to the face page, and I want to just point out a couple last things. Down here, we have the summary of any saved occupations. So as you go along, make sure you check the boxes. This will be a great recording for you. Your majors that you saved, make sure you take a look at those. You'll have a nice strong list when you finish all of this work. But this review and print my portfolio, I like this, and I'm going to show you why. You get to pick various categories that you want to go into your report. And I'm just randomly picking them right now. But I recommend that people take the Focus2 at least every year. Why? Because it shows maturity, it will show your growth, it will keep you kind of confident that you're choosing the right path each time you take it. You may make some tweaks to certain things may have happened that you're now interested in another area. Let's see if the assessment actually matches those things. This report is a wonderful thing to print out and keep tucked away and compare yearly for yourself, just to assess your growth. We're going to jump here and we'll go to one other thing. Last, it's kind of funny that I'm doing these 3 bullets last since they're at the top of the page, but this is after you take the assessments. You're going to see where your career involvement is, and it will produce results that will tell you, hey, are your self-assessments, where are you? Out of 5, she's pretty high. Her career exploration could be a little stronger, and it's going to give you some suggestions for that. And her career planning satisfaction score is a 4. So what is next for her? Well, her academic strengths, you can go into that, but I want to show you this. Am I career ready? This is a big question. Now that you've picked your major or getting closer, and now that you're saying, hey, I want to target a few industries, am I even able to perform these duties? Am I okay for this career? Do I have what it takes? So let's check. So results are then plotted along the lines of competencies. You'll see professionalism, teamwork, global, leadership, management, communication, etc. Through this, the NACE career organization has given us 8 competencies here, but there are many more. But these are very important to employers in terms of who they want to hire. You want to make sure that you're focusing on these strengths to be the best you can be. These will rate you based on your own self-assessment. And I love this next part, which is saying, okay, to develop further critical thinking and problem-solving skills, this student was highly developed, but there are certainly other areas she could work on, and those would be the boxes that are unchecked. If we want to continue further, we'll see her oral and written communication, also very highly developed, but there are still some areas to work, and she could go through for each of these competencies. So with that, I hope that you are excited to take your own Focus2. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact one of our counselors and we can walk through the assessment with you. I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint. Here we go. So the takeaways were Job and major exploration, for sure. We saw where you can identify ways to get closer to where you want to go in the future, or maybe just reassess and give yourself a little time to marinate on some of the results. The self-assessments, the 5 are very interesting, and you can look at them individually or together. And then don't forget, this is supported by the U.S. Department of Labor, and the results, salary-wise, etc., are available on ONET. So for now, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have regarding the Focus2 tool. So are these assessments Villanova created, or are they created by the government? They're actually created by this is created by an outside firm, and we actually purchased this for our students and for our alums. Thank you. If there are no other questions, I would love to jump into showing you one other tool that is super. It's called the OOH. So let me grab that. I'm going to escape my PowerPoint and go to, this is called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. Hopefully you can all see it.
Suzanne, I did share the link in the chat if anyone would like to follow along with you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Sam. So for here, we're looking at the Occupational Outlook Handbook. As you'll notice, it's the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They keep track of every job performed in the United States. Let's, for the sake of this, say I'm interested in finance. Let's go to financial occupations. This will give me lots of ideas for occupations I could consider. It will also tell me the degree that I need, and it will tell me some similar jobs. So let's just pick financial analyst to compare to the other Focus2. For every occupation here, you will get to look at what they do. All of these open up to fabulous information. You'll be able to see the work environment, the percentage of places that the people work. Some are in insurance, some are in credit, some are in securities. How to become one. This is critical, especially if there's any kind of licensing or anything like that that is required. It also mentions those competencies that we've already discussed. So that is really a great way to assess where you are compared to some of these occupations. It will tell you the pay. It will tell you who makes more within the field. And this is all based on the information that they gathered. This is as of May 2018, so it's a prior year. The job outlook, again, very critical because we want to make sure we're heading in the right direction. This is my favorite tab, similar occupations. So perhaps you're not sure if you want to be a financial analyst and you want to compare it to personal financial advising or securities. So let's take a look at that, and it's going to bring you right to that career as well. So there's endless ways to search to get that information that will help you become more comfortable with what's required for an occupation and how your skills match. So I want to thank you all for today. If there are no additional questions, thank you for connecting with us and attending this Advance Your Career Anywhere Zoom at Noon session for Discover Your Career Path. The link for the entire series is available in the chat. Please join us for our additional sessions focusing on different platforms. The session will run through June 5th, 2020. It is my privilege to connect with you, and I thank you very much. Bye-bye.